Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start. So yesterday I showed you how to make a perfect circle. So I thought I'd quickly review that. So we cut it out of the template plastic, and then I used a nail file to make sure all my edges are nice and smooth. Because when you cut it out, you get kind of ridges there. And I drew it on the back of my fabric. Drew with my Frixion pen, just so I can see it. Wouldn't matter if you used your fabric pencil or fabric pen. And then I did a running stitch around the outside or on the right side of the fabric. Now I'm going to put my template in there, and then I'm going to draw up. So I'm going to gather my circle, and this is how we make a perfect circle. So there, I've pulled my 2 threads nice and tight, nice circle on the front. So now I'm going to go over to my iron that I have hot here. I'm going to press it. Just give me a second here. Move this in a little bit closer. This is why you want to have heat resistant template. Just a little bit of starch on here. So seal in that beautiful edge that we want. Now I find that I can reuse my template usually 4 to 5 times. Now I'm just going to let that cool down, and I've made myself a perfect circle. Magic! Okay, so that's going to go there. So now what we want to do is talk about, so I've prepared the edge on my circle. I'm going to talk about preparing the edge on my heart. I just want to move my mat over a bit so we can see here. Okay, so my heart, I have my freezer paper on the right side. Now prepared edge, what I'm going to do is fold this over so I get a nice crisp edge. That's what we want. I tend to always start here. I tend to do things left-handed. So what I'm going to do is fold this over. Key with that is use your glue pen. So what I'm going to do, try not to get glue on Anne's ironing pad. I'm just going to run my glue. Now you don't want to do too much. Use your stiletto. We're going to fold it over. Fold it over. So what you don't want to do is put too much glue. Only put enough glue on your heart to work with it, because it can dry out very quickly. And never leave the cap open, because when you do that, it'll dry out and you'll have wasted a whole tube. Okay, so I'm going to work around here. Okay, so now I'm down to here. This is my corner here. So when I look at this corner here, I just put my glue there, I just peel it back. Because this is a corner, if I fold it over, then fold it over, I'll have 4 layers of fabric, and that's going to make a big bulge in here. So here's what I want to do. This angle is going to go like this, and I want to take the excess fabric out. This is going to fold over, and I'll do the same on this side. And I'm only cutting away where that folding edge is. Make that a little bit more even here. Yeah. So you see I've just trimmed it right in there. That's what's going to be folded under, so now I only have 2 layers of fabric. So I'll put our glue here. So now I'm folding this straight out. Well, that's a really good question. So the template for the circle you typically use to gather around. So you have a nice round object. If I used a template for this, I wouldn't be able to gather around because I have an in and an out. That's why. I could have had the template on the inside, but then if I press this over, I'm going to end up gluing to the template. So I have had much better success with hand applique, having the freezer paper on the outside, on the right side of the fabric, and then just gluing and bending my edge over. So this one, so I bent straight out this way. So this is doing a point. Over a bit. So I literally have a straight line going this way now. Okay. So now I look at it this way. So the next thing I'm going to do, put a little glue here. So if I fold it this way, right, I'm going to have this little pokey thing here. Right? Can you see that? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it up. Okay. Then I'm going to fold it this way. So it's a 2-step fold. I don't know if you can see that. So I folded it up this way and then bent everything up. It's a little bulky there just because I have a seam. But when I go to stitch it, you'll see what I'll do. Put just a little extra here. Okay. Go. So now what I usually like to do is I'll just do a quick press along the edge just to make sure everything is nice and flat. And if I have any little bumps or wobbles as I'm stitching it down, I can take care of it there. Okay, so now I can take off my freezer paper. It's a good looking heart. Okay, so now I'm ready to put it on my background. So remember, I have 2 backgrounds. I have the one where I traced it on with a Frixion pen. A little hard to see. I have my circle and my heart. And this is the one with the veil. Okay. So I'll just show you how you would line it up on the veil. So here's my heart. You lift up the veil. Let me move over here. The cap on the glue because it dries out. You see what I'm doing there? So I'm lining up. Remember, I traced it with my fabric marker, and I'm just lining it up. So this is a great way of keeping your background fabric very, very clean. And if I just put that underneath, well, I can tell how far off I am. And I just move it around until I get it to the right position. And I can lay it down. Same way with my circle. So, like I said, with applique, the thing I love about it is the circle's there, but you know what? I could always put it here if I wanted. Some of us are rebels. Put it there. So I've got this down where I wanted. What I would do next, this is Roxanne's Base Stick Glue. Life-changing. It's amazing stuff. So what I have done in past, I've used this to put a glue on the back and then temporarily hold this down. So the one thing I have found with that is, because the glue sticks, they're all blue, I can get a blue, wherever I put this on, I can see it shine through. And I'm not too keen about that. Underneath the edges here is perfectly fine because I have a double layer of fabric there. But when I have background and then just one layer here, I can just kind of see it. So it just bugs me. With Roxanne's Base Stick Glue, so two glues you need for hand applique, right? Your stick one and your Roxanne's. It's a clear liquid. It's a clear glue, and it's a basting glue, so I can easily take it off, right? And I just put dots around the outside, line it up, wait for it to dry. I have found the Roxanne's glue is significantly better than using pins. Now, some of my friends who are hand appliqueurs love the little pins, which are right here. Right? These applique pins from Clover. Now, they're just little ones so that you don't have these long ones, and because you're doing it by hand, it's really easy to pierce yourself with it. I have found that I would always get my thread caught in this. So for me, the Roxanne's Base Stick Glue just lets me stitch, stitch, stitch. And her new Base Stick Glue actually has two different ends on it. So this one has a bigger end and then a very fine tip. This is just the fine tip. So she's actually come out with a much better dispenser. So what I want to do is I'm going to put this on the background that I traced on the light box yesterday. So I'm just going to put my veil to the side here. So now I'm ready to put this on. Just a little dot. A little dab will do you. Guess you wouldn't know about that, right, Tyler? Go. I just put little dabs. Line it up. Here's my little circle, and I can do the exact same thing. But I probably would wait to put this on because it is a temporary glue, right? So, I still have embroidery tape on there because now put your lid on your glue. Ask me how I know that, okay? So, that's now ready to stitch. I've got my needle already threaded. And these are the black gold needles. I was telling my friend about these this morning. She's a hand appliquer. Like, these are amazing. Okay. Oh, I love applique. It's not scary at all. So I'm going to start. You can see this beautiful edge I have here. Always start. Never start on a point. What you want to do is I usually start up about a quarter. Okay. Now I've done a quilter's knot. Okay. So I'm coming up through the background. And remember, my background has my crustal shear on it. And I'm coming right through the edge of my applique. So I've come straight up, and now I'm going to go straight down. Straight down, right back, almost right back in that same hole. Be careful you don't knot your thread. So, see a lot of people who will knot their thread when they're stitching because it's too long. So when you're doing hand applique, you want to make sure your threads are shorter, because you need to change them often, because as your hand applique, they'll start to wear and you'll see fraying. Then you need to change. So I've been known to load up 10 needles with applique thread. I just keep them on my pin cushion. Once I see one starting to fray, I pick up the next one. Pick up the next one. Yes, my husband thinks I'm odd. Okay, so this is why you match this fabric with the thread that you want to applique. Okay, now I tend to do everything in hand. I don't use a frame. So I'm going to do my next one. And I'm just catching the edge of this, and I can actually see, I don't know if you guys can see, I'm just catching the one thread there, straight up, and then down. And I'm literally going back through the same hole. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's do another one. After you've done, if you've done a couple of these, you're pretty good. So up through the edge again, and down. This is typically how hand applicators start, just by doing, I call it the stab method, right? Straight up on the edge. See if I can pull that. No. There. I don't know if you can see, I've just got that one edge. And then I go down. I'm just doing the stab. So by going right down into the same hole, you're not going to see my stitches or that colored thread in my background. So if we take a look at here, you can actually see how far apart my stitches are. So that's about 1/8 of an inch. You'll probably see it better over here with the darker red, right? I mean, I'm not an even stitcher, but when you're doing hand applique, it's very forgiving, right? So yeah, about 1/8 of an inch. Okay. So then when you get a little better, back down, you can then start to do this. You see what I did? Instead of going straight down, I'm just taking the next stitch right on that edge, which actually may be a little easier to do. Man, these needles are amazing. Now this is another reason you don't want to put too much glue in the edge, because the glue can make it hard for the needle to go through. So I'm doing 2 stitches at once now. And this is where you need to have something on your finger here. Whether it's one of our thimbles, I like the pads that stick on and stick off. And they don't have to be always even. So each stitch, when you take it, will be perpendicular. It'll be across, straight down. So your stitches go straight down, straight down, straight down. You're not doing at an angle, any angles. They go straight down, up through the back, straight up, straight down. Let me see, right there, right? So I don't know if you can see where that stitch is coming straight up. This one right here is coming straight up. Then I'm going to go straight back down, which could be quite different than the way we put binding on. Okay? Now I'm going to come up again. And you know what? I hate hand sewing on binding. I always machine it. So go figure. Right? So again, straight up and down. So I want to show you how to do the point. I want to show you how to stitch that. There's a trick to it. Quilter's knot. Take it over top. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Pretend you're doing a French knot. 4, 5. For good luck. Slide it all the way down. Now I have a knot. So I'm just going to start up here and I'm going to go down here and show you what the trick is for this. Oh, thank you. So come up, straight down. So I'm just taking the 2 stitches at once. Take my bite. So when I go straight down, right, I'm actually on that line I drew with my Frixion pen. That's why you can't see it here, because it's just a smidge underneath my applique. Go here. And couldn't you imagine sitting out in the patio with the fire pit going, listening to the birds, hand stitching? Yeah, so now I'm coming down to my point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch right into my point. Stitch down. Can you see? Okay. So I've stitched right down to here. So I've stitched, stitch, stitch. You're going to take 1 extra stitch at the tip. So this would be a corner, anything that has a 90-degree angle. You're going to take another stitch straight up and straight down. And what that does, it gives it the illusion of a nice sharp point. Look at that. So yes, I stitched right to there. I could have gone right up here, but I took 1 extra stitch. You know what it does? It elongates that corner, so to you, it looks like you've got a perfect 90-degree angle. And now I can go up my other side. There you go. Okay, I got a little bit of fabric there, right? We did trim it, but it's still. Now I'm using a lighter pink on this side, but you still can't really see it, which is good. There we go. So the trick for an outside corner or 90-degree, stitch down, take 1 extra stitch. It elongates this, so it looks like you've made a perfect 90-degree corner. So when I would be stitching here, right, I come along, stitch. I could take an extra 1 here if I wanted, right there, and that would just emphasize that nice point in there. So if you have a point that you're hand stitching and it's not looking right, take an extra stitch there just to reinforce that corner. It tells your eye that, oh, I have a nice point there. So there we go. You see my corner here? I've taken that extra stitch there. All the glue is in. Yes, I thought it was, because I have it all behind me. It may be off the shelf because it's right here. And then here, I just took an extra stitch there, just to focus on that nice point there. This is just stitching all the way around. Very easy to do. And I don't worry about my knots on the back. Some people bury their knots into the 1/4 inch here. I don't. I just put them in the back because now this is going to be sewn and then quilted, so it'll be well secured. Well, I think we are done with hand applique. Thank you for listening to me for the last 3 days. Be kind.
Be calm.
Be calm. I don't remember the other one right now. Be kind, be calm.
See.
Be safe. Thank you. Okay, goodbye, everybody.